Good day, all. Ira Epstein of Linn & Associates with your metals market wrap-up. And this wrap-up is for Friday, the 27th of March, thank God, 2020. And we're after 5 p.m. What a week. I mean, you talk about craziness. None of us are in the office. You're doing everything remote. Certainly not easy. I'm sure you're in my same shoes. But the market electronically is working pretty darn good, isn't it? You know, my clients trade electronic anyway, so I don't see where it matters to them as much as the way that we work with them when we're all side by side. Our phones go to us. So if you're calling, yeah, we're right there. We're picking up our phones and everything. So we've got them all in call forwarding. But as you can see, bonds and notes, pretty strong finish today. When we come to the metal markets over here, you can see, and I wanted to finish off with the April gold just so you see how it finished off, because now you're going to get into that period where all I'm following is June from this point. But the silver down, the copper market slightly lower, but not bad. Copper's been acting better as China's coming on stream, and I know it's coming on stream because I'm seeing car commercials come into our showrooms in different places in China. And if they're trying to get you in Beijing and Shanghai and other spots, that means that the virus, as bad as it might be in some areas, isn't as bad everywhere. And I'm even hearing Wuhan is getting restrictions that have been lifted. This is all good news. Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Unfortunately for Europe and the US, we are either, I'm praying that Italy's coming to the other side of that slope, but the way it sounded, not quite yet. And other parts of Europe are just going up the left-hand side of what they call the FAR curve. And that's how a virus, and by the way, that was developed in 1840, that curve. How it begins, goes up, peaks, and comes down. Well, China's at that far right side unless the virus returns right away. The rest of us, no, we're going up this side. It's not going to be good. In the monthly chart of gold, you can see how the market is pulled back, and for the month we did get down so far to a low of 1450.90, taking out a prior low. So are we trending? If you define, as I do, an uptrend as having higher highs and higher lows, the answer is no. You have a lower low and a higher high. In terms of momentum, momentum's drifting. It's not pointing down or up, it's drifting right now. When I look at the slow stochastic momentum oscillator on weekly charts or monthly, it's either pointing up, down, or sideways. It doesn't get overbought or oversold the way that I use it. When we look at a weekly chart of closes, one thing stands evident to me. The market's fighting at this red line. You were over it, you tried one short burst under it, and you came right back. When you're over it on a weekly basis, or a daily, or a monthly, I give the market the credit of either upside bias, if it's over it, downside if it's under it. It's a filter of other studies. When I take a look at this action, and this is a weekly chart, it's pretty rough. 1,700 3 weeks ago, down to 1,450, challenging those highs again. That's big action in one time. When you look at the swing line on it, you have the pattern of a higher high and a lower low on the weekly chart. That is not a trend. Where did the market fight the battle? We know that. I already pointed at the 18-week average. It never did make it back to the 100 or 200-week average. Where is the resistance in the market? Right here, the upper Bollinger Band. Markets will trade within the black lines 95% of the time. Now the trick is trying to get a measurement as to where of that 5% when it stays out of the band, be it upside or downside, are you? And I don't know an exact science for it. I have rules of thumb, and I've talked about them in many of these videos. Suffice to say, this is a resistance zone. You got back this week to it at 1670, and you finished at 16.25. I think pros, be it you get to the lower bands, upper bands, I think they take money off against that because they play the percentages that the market will stay within the band. In terms of momentum, the market is trying to establish some upside momentum. You can see how the red line is trying to point up. I'd like it to get over this dark blue line, if you will, so that I get more momentum to the upside if I'm going to be friendly. On pullbacks, I see support at 1548.80, and I can see where my resistance point is. When I look at a weekly area chart of closes on the gold-silver ratio, this is how many ounces of silver it takes to get an ounce of gold. Well, you've pulled back to the 112 area from a high of 120. This is historically an unbelievably high number. I mean, I'm used to these numbers being 40 to 80 roughly, and that's a breakout to the upside that we had, and it hasn't looked back. When you look at silver, remember folks, silver's still very much an industrial metal. There's a reason it's priced at $15 an ounce, not at $1,500, $1,600, or like other metals, $2,300. So the market's got a higher high, lower low, and what it did is it climbed back into the Bollinger Band. That's all that it's done. It's not a trend. You had a breakout attempt to the downside. You pulled back into the band. Will the market find resistance at the 100-week average, or is it, if it breaks again, going to be challenging the 1376 area? I'll leave that up to you. It's a difficult one. Copper's in a downtrend, trying to climb back into the trend. Silver's not in a trend. Silver's got that higher high, lower and low right now. Copper's had lower highs, lower lows, and I think it's trying to pull back into the Bollinger Band. It stayed out of it 2 weeks in a row. It can stay longer than that, but it's certainly not a friendly market at this point. Will it have bottomed at this 206 area? I can't answer that. What I can answer is that right now, American factories are shut down. The only ones I know that are running again are those that are making medical supplies, as you're hearing from GM, other companies trying to make a move on that. In the platinum market, we had gotten down extreme last week, came bouncing back. We finished 622.5, came bouncing back this week into the Bollinger Band, but it's not a change of trend. You still have lower highs, lower lows, a lot of resistance between the 18-week average of 907 and 861, the 100-week average. If you bounce too much, I think the pros will be waiting for the market there. Last in the dollar index, I've been a currency trader. Actually, one of the first spots I got my teeth wet was standing in the pits at the exchange when I was a young man and trading these markets. Whoa. 99 down to 94, up to 104 or so. My good friend Rick Santelli, I was watching him on CNBC, and he said he's never seen this, neither have I. We cut our teeth. I'm older than Rick is, but I knew him from the floors, and I still know him, obviously, because I do TV, and so does he. We've not seen this. This is just something, you can't control risk like that, is the point that I'm making. I want to remind you, one of the things I do is I cover for you in my morning subscriber video all these different categories of markets. And the idea that I have is, how do I help you to get trading ideas that you might have yourself and you want to push forward with? So what I do in my morning subscriber video is pretty simple. I charge for it. I get up at 4:30 in the morning, I read, and I'm recording by about 5:30, 5:40 a.m., getting you ready for the morning trade, reviewing all those different charts, 40 of them, giving you ideas as to where I'm seeing in the chart the action that's going on. $7.95 to try it. It's not even a tick in most markets, right? After that, if you stay with it, it's $15 for every 30 days, or if you want to buy a 1 year, pay it up front, $156, $13 a month. Think of what that is, not an awful lot. How do you get it? Go to our website at www.iraepstein.com. Go under the word research. You'll see it all right there, and we'll help you with it. I'm Ira Epstein. You have a good weekend. I'll see you all come Monday.